So our book that we read was Night, and our podcast group members are Omar, Geronimo, William, Alex, Miguel, and me.
All right, so The Night, it was written by Elie Wiesel, and it is a personal narrative about his time during the Holocaust, in which he spent time in some concentration camps.
The main character, Eliezer, is a 12-year-old Jewish boy who lived in the Hungarian town of Szeged. He's deeply religious and spends much of his time studying the Torah. His father is a highly respected individual in the Jewish community. The Hungarian police deport all of the foreign Jews. Moshe is sent away, but he then returns with a terrible and fantastic tale. The Gestapo stopped the train and slaughtered the deported Jews. Moshe escaped with a leg wound and has come to warn the Jews of Szeged to leave. The Jews of the town can't believe what Moshe is saying and think he's gone mad.
The war continued through 1943. In 1944, the Jews of Szeged still didn't really believe Hitler intended to exterminate them. The fascists come to power in Hungary, and German soldiers enter the country. Before long, German officers are living in Szeged and then arresting the Jewish leaders of the town. Soon, the Hungarian police round the Jews up into two ghettos. Then they force the Jews like cattle onto trains headed to an unknown destination.
The Jews travel on the train for several days. The train arrives at the gateway to the Auschwitz concentration camp, where the passengers can see chimneys belching fire and can smell burned flesh. The women are immediately separated from the men, and Eliezer never sees his mother or younger sister again. A Nazi SS doctor separates those who are going to be killed immediately from those who will work. Eliezer sticks closely to his father. That first night in the camp, he witnesses babies and children thrown into the fire, and Eliezer's faith in God is shattered.
More separations occur, but Eliezer and his father stay together. All the prisoners are tattooed with a number, and this becomes their identity. They are told they must work or they will be burned. They spend 3 weeks at Auschwitz before marching to another concentration camp called Buna. Here, Eliezer and his father spend their days working in an electrical equipment warehouse. Their capo, who's a prisoner who wielded power over other prisoners, occasionally goes berserk and beats people, including Eliezer and his father. The SS doctors appear to weed out another batch of people for the furnaces. Eliezer has a scare with his father when his father is chosen, but his father manages to convince someone that he can still work. With the front lines of the war getting closer, the prisoners at Buna are evacuated on a long nightmare death march to a camp called Gleiwitz.
Near the end, people die contiguously along the way as the SS forces them to run for hours and hours in the snow, shooting people who fall behind. The survivors of the march are kept without food and water for several days. More are separated from the rest to be killed, and the remaining prisoners are crammed into trains. The Jews have nothing to eat but snow, and people die left and right. The train at last arrives at another concentration camp called Buchenwald. Eliezer's father contracts dysentery. Doctors won't help. The camp doesn't want to waste food on sick people, and Eliezer can only offer his rations to his father. When his father dies, Eliezer is unable to cry or mourn. He spends another 2.5 months at Buchenwald, in the days before the Nazis begin another prison evacuation. Then American tanks arrive and he is rescued.
Okay, so the book, it's generally about like people being in the Holocaust, and obviously it's like very sad. So, when reading the book, I think we all could relate that we all felt like very kind of like
Sad.
yeah, it's a little sad, and yeah.
Kind of shocked at what actually happened,
What I took from this book here is the part about religion. Throughout the book, in the beginning, he's all about religion, and he's
And he's
studying
praying
and
with
he's
the
praying
others.
every day. Takes it very seriously. Throughout the book, watching the types of things that these other people are doing to friends, family, and other people who are also humans, right? Watching this happen, his faith and beliefs are destroyed. There was a part in the book where there were other people who were praying, and he started talking about why should he pray when his people are being killed and
Babies are being thrown into fires.
yes. And so that's more of a challenge on faith.
Yeah, we think we can all agree on that. How religion was a important part of his
Life.
lifestyle.
Another insight that I had was where in times of crisis, the human mind can be altered, you could say. There was another part where he saw the kid, or he saw this guy who was looking for his son, right? And he remembered that while they were running to another camp, he thought he had seen the kid. So he thought, what if he on purpose left his father behind? And so he told himself, he said he would never, do that to his father and leave him behind. And then later, he didn't want to do that, but there was no way to help his father. And at one point, he did think about it. I think it was, right? He thought about leaving his father. And then
when he gets that,
he was a little upset with himself that he even considered it.
Yeah.
And so that's how he changed from these conditions that they were put through.
An insight I had is having perseverance, right? So Eliezer, I don't think he ever, he wanted to give up, but he never did. He kept going, no matter how hard the circumstances were. It was he went through the worst, and he still kept going. Although it was like really bad. So having perseverance was a really big role in the insight I took from the book.
So another insight from the book that I got was luck, because even though Eliezer was like very a child and weak compared to the rest, he still managed to survive. And unlike somebody else from here in the train, where he was like built kind of well and he managed to survive the train for so long, he in the end ended up giving up because he wasn't lucky enough to bear the cold winter and the winds.
So you're thinking more of a destiny type thing?
Yeah, kind of.
What I thought about the book and the way I took it was dehumanization, the way these police officers beat the Jewish people to death, burned them, gassed them, or just overworked them to death, and how they were treated. They were basically treated like animals, and yeah.
All right, I think there's a lot of uncertainty and fear of what was going to happen next to them, right? Because they didn't know when they were going to work them, unless there was some sort of routine. But they didn't know when it was going to change or how it was going to change, or even if they were going to get separated. Because he really didn't want to get away from his dad. He really just wanted to stay with him. He changed his appearance because of it, his clothes, right? He didn't want anything to give the guards a reason to take him away, whether that was himself or his dad. And one example of when they were transported from Auschwitz to another camp called Buna, and they didn't know if it was going to be worse as far as labor or beatdowns or whatnot. The other workers that were there, the other laborers, they got separated too, but it was pretty random. They were kind of like, there weren't a lot of them left. So yeah, a lot of uncertainty surrounding that.
So the insight I got from this book was about losing faith. Throughout the book, there are many instances of people questioning their religion. Even the protagonist, Eliezer, begins questioning his own faith. And I believe when the time that he starts questioning his faith was during the instance of when he was in Burma and a young boy was going to be hanged. And this quote describes the time. For God's sake, where is God? And from within me I heard a voice answer, where he is, this is where, hanging here from this gallows.
Okay, I think
really?
I think Omar had a interesting point of view on his insight with luck. You know, that's very interesting that he decided to choose that insight, right? How he thought Eliezer was lucky, right? Because he was only one of the few people that was left alive. So you know, I really thought that was a really good insight of your part, you know, because it was unique. So
Yeah, I mean, do you think that one of the reasons he stayed alive the whole time was because he wasn't necessarily a big target? So he might have been able to hit himself a lot better than the others, despite being really young. Because you know, I mean, I'd imagine they would want younger people working, right? So wouldn't they just want him doing a lot more? So how come he was the one that in the end to last that long?
yeah, so yeah, that's why I think the luck aspect of the book was really unique, because I think it did have some luck, but also not.
I do agree that it was kind of based on luck because
Yeah, because like of how many people died, right?
Because he could have died.
But
yeah,
but,
yeah,
there were
like,
many
it
instances
could
where
have
he
been just,
where he
you know,
could have
His
died.
father almost died.
yeah, but
His
then
dad
again,
did die.
Near the beginning. Like
Oh,
when,
yeah,
when
yeah.
he's chosen.
No,
and then-
like one of the luckiest parts was when he did decide to lie about his age. Like he could have been very, like, it was lucky that the guy told him to, because he could have easily told them that his real age
his
if
real
that guy
age.
had not told him that.
It's all part of destiny, man.
Yeah.
yeah, but then again, didn't like some of his actions also lead to like him not being
As lucky?
So, yeah, exactly. So I feel like
Like
there's,
what?
yeah, there's some luck, but also there's some of his own actions that he decided to do that also, you know, granted him that liberty.
Yeah. Was yours losing faith?
Wait, who's just losing faith?
Mine was losing faith.
Oh yeah.
Which I could
was
agree
like-
with that too, cause like, at like, you know, people get scared at times and like they're just losing faith. They think they're
Yeah.
gonna like, you know, die, and that's probably what some of them were thinking, like, oh, I'm here and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get overworked, or they're gonna kill me, and like they started losing faith,
Yeah, exactly.
and it was just getting to them. You
So
know?
that's why a big part of Elizer's journey, I feel like, was having a good mentality, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
without
like-
that mentality, you know, without that having hope or having that faith, he wouldn't have.
It would just carry
That's
him.
why
like,
that's
hard.
why he kept running, right?
Yeah.
When he was
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
from camp to camp, and
Yeah.
he didn't know how far.
You know,
But-
in comparison to that Meerkats guy, you know, he lost his faith because of his son, right?
Mhm.
So, I feel like that plays a big part in the story.
I feel like his dad also played a part for him.
Yeah.
You know, as a sort of motivation. Because if it was just for himself, I don't think he would have
Yeah.
pushed as hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and when his father died, he didn't really like give that much
Emotion. Versus that?
emotions. Yeah.
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 Because he was just broken.
Did you
And-
say that it was kind of like, did you
That
say
he-
that did you say that he was like relieved that he died?
Yeah, he was like relieved,
I think he said like he didn't feel like.
but he didn't.
Any
Really,
pain,
didn't
really?
cry.
That
Yeah,
he
he
was
like-
that he was glad that it like wasn't him that was getting beat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that he hoped that he would have done something, but he couldn't, you know, because he was afraid to get hit in
Yeah.
the back of the head.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
I-
guess in that circumstance, he didn't necessarily have to worry about his dad anymore. So you guys mentioned relief. Then that would probably be the prime example. It's just one less thing you have to worry about. So he didn't have really time, I want to say, to mourn him. You know, maybe he did it later, but for the time being, I mean, yeah, I can see how that might have been of some sort of relief at the time. Mine was about uncertainty. That was what I was talking about. How he didn't know, no one really knew what was going to happen next for him, whether they were going to put him back to work or
die, get killed.
Die, be killed, or be transferred.
Components like electrical.
That was in the
components.
Burma camp, but
Then did he
And
work
then the
a lot
other one
outside?
was like stone.
was
I
he,
feel like when I imagine them working, it's kind of like that cartoonish type thing when they're like hitting rocks.
Yeah.
Oh,
with
yeah.
a
Yeah.
pickaxe, you know what I mean?
And they're all like
that's kinda
chained
what
up
I
in like
imagine.
to one chain.
Chained
you know?
up.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I imagine. So,
yeah, so the electrical, was that when they were in the warehouse or what was that?
yeah, the warehouse, the electrical warehouse.
Yeah, I heard it. They actually treated them better in there.
Yeah, that was like the
in
it's
that
like the
one they
best
had-
camp that they could be in.
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
a Jewish leader.
Oh yeah.
He was a Jewish prisoner who kind of led them.
Okay. So he's more so like, okay, I get.
I don't know how he got into power though.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they just selected one.
Yeah.
I was thinking about like the uncertainty and like you're the luck part. Like the part I was thinking about was like the part when he got like injured and he was in the hospital, and like they heard like the Russians were coming to the camp.
Yeah.
And then Eliezer like could have stayed in there in the infirmary, and if he did, he would have been saved. But instead, like took like the chance and left, and he still continued his.
He had to stay for an extra like 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that all plays out like in the destiny kind of aspect to it, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, he survived. So you know, I feel like that all relates back to having that destiny.
Yeah, there was this one instance while they were at the Camp Buna, and all of a sudden they could hear planes and they thought they were being bombed. They had the rage sirens going and everything.
What did you guys think the most disturbing part of the book was? For me, it was the when he said they were chucking babies into the furnaces.
Yeah. Like not even.
Like
Like,
I can just imagine that, and that's like
Yeah.
really messed up. And that was very disturbing to me. So, what about you guys?
I think probably when his dad died,
Oh yeah.
it wasn't really disturbing, but it was kind of like at the same time it was, because he couldn't really do anything to save his dad or anything. Like they described in the book that they were beating his dad for his food and his soup. So that I couldn't imagine how disturbing that be. As a son.
to watch your father.
to watch your father
Exactly,
get
yeah.
beaten, like
Yeah,
you're not able to do anything really.
exactly,
You just
I mean-
gotta mainly like it's more so you gotta watch it and
Yeah. So you gotta
Do anything.
deal with that,
yeah.
and I bet it was really bad for Eliezer.
I was thinking more of the scene where his father's dying and they're like sitting outside and he tells them to take a nap and people start going to sleep and they're dying outside. They just want to lay down for a second and then they end up dying in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was disturbing.
Or when he got whipped. That,
Oh
like,
yeah,
could
that
be-
part like 25 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
For the
if we're seeing that.
for the incident.
A disturbing one was
that was just my imagination.
when the boy was hanged. Like
Oh yeah.
imagine just like seeing the little boy hanged and being like, dang, like that could be me.
Mhm.
And like it's unfortunate that it was him. It's just like you could picture that. Like
Why were those guys specifically hung? Was
It's because they had like guns.
No,
Like,
no,
yeah,
was
they had guns.
Nope.
They had.
Like,
No,
they
wait,
were
no.
like-
They were suspected of like being traitors or something like that, right?
Oh,
no, I can't remember.
I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, they were caught like sneaking stuff
Yeah.
behind
Oh, yeah.
everyone's backs and keeping their own like food probably and weapons and stuff like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
And
yeah, yeah.
the little boy was hung because he was just with one of the guys. Like I think it was like his dad or something.
Mm.
do you feel he has like hate towards German people now? Like
And like in general, or just
Yeah.
to the Nazis?
I don't, as we saw, I don't think as I portrayed Eliezer in the book, I don't think he really was that type of person, right?
I think he did say that he hated them at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think as he grew up,
you guys talked about that, right? Like
yeah.
that his mother and his sister died, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
Or that they
they never saw them again.
Yeah, which is just Imagine that though, like you're like separated.
So were they killed off the bat? Like as soon as they were
Yeah,
separated?
I mean, they
most
don't.
likely.
You'll never know, but that's just what he assumes.
But that's probably like
Just
what
were
most of them would
there
assume.
were women and children just
Killed,
of no
yeah.
use? Were they just killed?
Or-
I don't remember if it says that in the book.
The boy in the striped pajamas.
What did we just talk about if we like
Yeah.
the book?
Yeah, like would you recommend the book to anyone? Like
Yes,
more
I would.
What was your
specifically?
If you're looking for a more of a what's the word?
Accurate portrayal.
like a-
Accurate representation
Like a
of
good understanding.
concentration camps and the types of circumstances they were put, or the situations that they were put through, and the
What they went
tough
through.
conditions they lived in.
Yeah.
Then this is a good book for you.
Yeah. We recommend this book to you if you are interested in learning more about what happened in the Holocaust, but more importantly, through a single person experience, right?
Yeah, like
First-hand account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace!